What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are driving a 2005 Porsche Boxster S. We have the owner here who owns a bunch of Hondas. You may recognize him from our Honda videos. He's going to buy an S2000 and then he bought this instead. Brent, would you like to tell us the story of how you got into a Porsche Boxster instead of a Honda S2000?
Well, I saw this car sitting there and I loved, number one, the style of it. The body style is phenomenal. It was a great design. The interior being this cocoa leather, dark brown. Oh my God, it's to die for. So it also happened to be a little bit cheaper than the S2000. So that pretty much sealed the deal. And the cars actually had like similar mileage. And, you know, I've got enough high revving Hondas. So I thought, man, this is kind of a fun little change.
Yeah, we got the Porsche experience, something a little bit different. Some specs. This has a 3.2 liter flat six engine, classic Porsche fashion. Makes somewhere in the 280 to 290 horsepower range. Don't have it at the moment. We do have a 6-speed manual transmission, which was specific to the S. I believe the non-S was a 5-speed.
Correct, yep.
Wow, those gauges feel really good. All right, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. Oh. Forever forgetting that the key is on the left side and not the right. I'm sorry, guys, I don't drive enough Porsches. Wow, already have a fantastic induction noise. Whoa. Oh, it is so zippy at lower speeds. Tons of induction noise. I'm like half throttle, full. Get that great flat six howl, which is what people love about old Porsches. Compared to an S2000 or another convertible, this is way nicer and it doesn't beat you up. When you get out of an S2000, you're like, okay, like I'm okay. Like I don't need to drive it anymore. You know, I'm not gonna say you're happy to get out of it necessarily because it's a very fun car, but you know, it kind of beats up your back. You know, you hop in this is a car you can spend a lot of time in and not really get tired of. Does this have any aftermarket exhaust or intake?
No.
Nope.
This is stock exhaust. Although Soul exhaust is a phenomenal upgrade.
Yeah. That's something you'll do to this?
I'm thinking about it.
Gobs of feedback. You know, the steering wheel, yeah, it's all very heavy, all the controls. That shifter is something to get used to, especially coming out of a Honda.
Yes.
It's very heavy, and you think...
It's a deliberate shifter.
Yes, that's perfect wording for it. It's very deliberate. You gotta mean it. Okay, I want this gear, go in. And it's got a very nice notch. It's got a very nice response to it.
But it takes effort.
But it does take effort. So this is the sort of Porsche performance shifter from the factory?
Yep.
Okay.
Sport shift, I think they called it.
Sport shift. Oh, Porsche was doing that 20 years ago. All the modern car brands now do that, where they offer you the factory performance tune or, you know, whatever option. Porsche was way ahead of their curve on way ahead of the curve on that. Oh man, that is a beautiful noise. I think the engine's probably still kind of at the temp a little bit, so I don't want to quite redline it yet. But it makes a beautiful induction noise at lower RPM. And that's what I love about Porsches. I'm a huge audiophile when it comes to cars. The sound of a car will make or break it for me. And this has a great noise. And one of the great things about these two is they're a bargain. This one had 44,000 miles, 45,000 miles. And you said this is like 25 grand?
$25,000.
$25,000. I mean, for a low mileage, I mean, it is 20 years old, but basically it's sort of a newish condition Porsche. I mean, this is like $70,000 new with all the options, like the yellow gauge cluster and the leather dashboard and the all the other million Porsche options on this.
And it retains so much of the analog feeling.
Yes.
The older versions. Not quite the air-cooled stuff.
Exactly. It maintains so much of that analog feeling that the older Porsches have. I mean, this was the golden generation of Porsche, where a lot of people consider their sort of last hurrah with, their classic feel. So much feedback in the steering wheel. Now we are on a little bit of an older tire. Wow, there's a Miata. Look at that. Oh, I didn't wave back. So confidence inspiring. A little bit firm over this bumpier stretch of road. That's okay, it is a small convertible after all. Very short fourth gear. I'm sure that's what the 5-speed got, or the 6-speed got you over the 5. Probably a little bit closer gear ratios. Keep you in the power band. Tons of feedback in this thing. The steering, the suspension. You feel it in your seat too, and that's usually what you get with roadsters like this, is you get that seat feel that you get some of in other cars, but you don't get a ton of.
You know, I like to compare this to my NSX, which is also mid-engine.
Yeah.
And that is like a ballet dancer. It's a little bit lighter. It's got a little more cowl shake. This one, more solid, a little more weight to it.
Yeah, solid. It's got that German feel and weight to everything.
Vault-like.
Yes. Wow, that's quick. That's really quick up top. Brakes, a little soft in the initial bite, but once you get into it, the pedal stiffens up. Okay, so you were just telling me about a price hike with the 987.
Well, yeah, if you go to the 987.2s, those did not have issues with IMS or Boris scoring.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a pronounced price jump up for those models, but
sure.
But overall, you know, if you change the oil frequently, make sure it's up to temp before you really get on it.
Right.
You know, overall, these are really fairly reliable cars.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a lot of them running around with 150, 200,000 miles on them.
Yeah, I'd say like 200,000 miles is pretty doable on all of these. They're all going to make it to that point.
Yeah.
So when you buy one low mileage like this, you know, you got tons of life left in it. And, you know, even if you buy one with 100,000 miles, there isn't really that, you know, okay, is it going to explode? You know, it probably won't. Which is not true of other 2000s, mid-2000s German cars. BMW. Hate to say it, but they struggled in that era with their high-performance cars.
They did have their issues.
The V10, M5, among other cars. So when you're changing gears quickly like that, you can't quite just let off. You got to kind of give it a little bit of a slower disengagement, and then you get a really nice, crispy, smooth shift, which is cool. You know, a lot of these German cars, you get a lot of deadening and you get a lot taken away from you, but not really this. This still gives you a lot of initial. This thing feels great. It's responsive, it's tight, and this is the classic Porsche feel, classic Porsche sound. That, honestly, I think this has sold me on a Boxster.
This is one of the greatest bargains out there. I mean,
agreed.
Bar none.
Yeah, bar none. Like,
for the money.
You can't touch this level of exotic and specialness for this amount of money anywhere. Like, bar none. Yeah.
The way I like to think about it is, you know, the NSX is a $75,000 car.
Yep.
This is a $25,000 car. Is
Exactly.
an NSX 3 times better? No, it just isn't.
Same power.
It's a little more of an experience. Similar power. Is it better? Maybe marginally.
The handle's a little better, maybe.
not 3 times better.
Not 3 times better. And it doesn't sound like that.
True. It's got its own unique sound.
It's got its own unique sound, but Porsche just, you hop in a Porsche, you drive it, you're like, it's a Porsche. There's not really a way you can quantify it in any other way. You just know it's a Porsche when you're behind the wheel. And the flat six is such a unique sound that you don't hear in any other car, and it sort of sets it apart from everything else. You'll get good sounding V6s or even inline sixes like in a BMW, but when you hop in a Porsche flat six, there just isn't anything else like it.
No, that's true. It's not all that noisy.
Nope.
You've got a decent amount of insulation in here. It's a pretty solid package.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty solid package. I mean, people crap on Boxsters, especially first-gen Boxsters. The 986 is like, it's a
hairdresser's car.
Yeah, hairdresser's car, exactly. But if you can get past that, I mean, I do think, the 986 Boxster, say what you want about the headlights, but even this one with the Porsche headlights, objectively better looking. People still kind of look down on them as a lesser Porsche, and I think that's just not, it's just a bad take. Like, there is no lesser Porsche, there's just a Porsche.
The lines on these cars are beautiful. The Boxster S, the Cayman S, when you look at the curves of the hips, those front fenders, just beautiful.
Agreed. God, love that noise. That noise is so addicting. I just want to hear that soundtrack over and over and over again. It's probably what I'm doing when I'm editing this video. Oh my goodness. It's a riot.
A lot of people will daily these cars, for well over 100,000 miles, and I can see why.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's such a great car to drive, whether it's around town, on the highway. It's got plenty of space.
Plenty of space.
And the trunk.
Exactly. Maybe a little bit sparse here in like the driver's cockpit, but as far as usable space, you can go to the grocery store in this and get what you need. No back seats, obviously, but I mean, come on, it's convertible.
Yep.
This is great for like a single guy in his mid-20s.
Oh, yeah.
$25,000. Like, you can't really go wrong with that, to be honest. Porsche Boxsters for me have always been a car that I've sort of fantasized about, or the Porsche experience. The 996 911 is one of my favorite cars ever, especially the GT3. But, the Boxster is sort of that, but it's just more affordable. It is a convertible, and it's not rear engine, but it still has the same sound. I'm not tracking these anyway. I mean, frankly, I can't afford to track a Porsche. The engines are expensive, the parts are expensive. So I'm really just street driving it, and this is every bit of a 911 experience-wise for so much less money. And even relative to other sports cars, like an S2000, if you're looking at one, it's 30 grand. Same mileage. This is 5 grand less. I mean, the S2000 is a different experience, but if you just want a sports car, this is hard to pass up. I'll never get over that shifter too. Now I'm getting a rhythm of this car. The shifter, the pedal feel.
It does take a little adjustment, especially coming out of the lighter Honda.
Yeah, right. Now I just... Yeah, it makes sense to me. But Porsches consistently have, up there with Hondas, the Porsche and Honda both have the best shifters in the car game. This is like a gentleman's Miata, or a gentleman's S2000. Actually, I call it that, a gentleman's S2000. Not quite as many revs, but you get the torque down low, and it's just a fantastic car.
When I was heading down to this dealership to pick up the S2000, and this was sitting there, I was talking to the sales guy.
Yep.
A lot of people, it seems like the next step up from the S2000 is this, or a Cayman, or a 911 for a lot of folks. So
that doesn't surprise me at all.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah, because they're kind of in that, two-door, two-seat sports car feel. And the S2000 seems, I think to most people, is the most approachable because of the maintenance. But if you look at an S2000's maintenance, it's not even that much better than a Porsche. You still have to do valve adjustments.
Right.
I think it was a F series engine, I want to say. S2000.
F series.
Yeah, F series engine. The parts are all specific. They're more expensive. It will be cheaper than a Porsche most likely, but it's not going to be as cheaper as you think it is.
The S2000 offers a nice, raw driving experience.
Yes.
The 9,000 RPM red line, it's exhilarating. This one is a little bit more isolated. It's a little bit more comfortable. I see where, as people get a little bit older, they maybe step out of the S2000, maybe into one of these, and I totally get why.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. It's just more refined, and you still get a lot of RPM. I mean, this is the S. It revs to over 7,000. That's still a lot of RPM for an engine. A 3.2 liter engine. It's not a small engine either. And you get all that torque down low. And as I'll say for the like 500th time in this video, that like really good induction growl, you just don't get that in a lot of cars.
I mean, you combine that with the mid-engine balance, it's a wonderful package.
Agreed. And that ends our test drive of the 2005 Porsche Boxster S. What a fantastic car this is. You know, looking at 90s and early and mid 2000s sports cars, the Goldilocks era of sports cars, if you will, there aren't a lot of good deals left. And I mean, even those in pristine condition are $20,000 cars. And both of those cars have more miles than this one has. But for 20 to 30 grand, you can have a really nice, basically classic Porsche with 45,000 miles, this awesome brown interior with the yellow gauges, and of course a 6-speed manual transmission, which once again, oh my God, it's just so amazing feeling. And in my opinion, you can't beat that. I'm going to make a bold claim, but based on everything I've seen, because I've been following the market a lot the past year or two, I think the Porsche Boxster, the 987 Boxster, is the best deal currently on the used sports car market, bar none. I'm going to include the Cayman in that too, because it's just the coupe version of this. So the 987 Cayman and Boxster are just the best deal. They have the sound, they have the looks, it's a beautiful design, they have that exotic car wow factor, and they're affordable and generally easy to live with. You do have some of that Porsche, you know, expensive clutch shocks, more expensive brakes, this and that, but they're not too problematic, and my goodness, what a fantastic car. So, on that strong note, let's go ahead and give the 2005 Porsche Boxster S a score. The 997.1 Porsche Boxster S scores here on our list. We don't have a ton of comparables, so this is what we are showing. It scores about how you would expect, given it's a lot easier to live with than an S2000, and the BMW M3 of its year was outdated when this car came out. Should you buy it? The 987 Boxster is a bargain in the used market. It delivers an exotic car feel and noise for less than $30,000. Not to mention, it falls into the golden era of mid-2000s sports cars, where cars were still tossable and had loads of feedback, while also maintaining features you would enjoy in a modern car. If you want a fun weekend driver or the old-school Porsche experience, without being too compromising or breaking the bank, I can't say enough good things about the 987 Boxster.